on 1320 WILS. The cold weather reminded me the other day, and we were looking at some stuff involving U of M and activist and Dr. Anderson survivor, Jon Vaughn, and I said at the time, well, I wonder how he's faring down there with the camping setup that has improved since it began with the pup tent, but still not the particularly best weather to do so in Ann Arbor or anywhere else in Michigan this time of year, not long term. And I said, we were live on the air. I think that was on Monday. I said, note to self, we're gonna follow up and check on Jon, and we're gonna do that right now because he is still set up outside the home of President Mark Schlissel and wants to speak to University President Schlissel and has not been able to do so one-on-one. But we've got him on the other end of our line once again. Jon, good morning. Welcome back.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing okay. Are you down there with, I think you're with your guy Chuck, is that right? You kind of tag teaming this, right?
Yeah. Chuck's back in Boston for a while.
Okay.
But, he comes back and forth, yeah.
You're coming up on 100 days doing this. Did you think you'd be out there for this long when you started?
Honestly, when I started, I just wanted to make it 24, 48 hours because I thought they would probably arrest me.
Which they haven't done. But you haven't given them any reason to arrest you either, right? Honestly.
Not at all, but seeing how they've treated us during the course of the last, 18 months or so, as inhumane and
I understand.
disrespectful. Yeah,
but you've had your relations with law enforcement though have been good there.
Yeah, absolutely, because those are the only representatives that the university sends out to speak to me or any of the other survivors. So we developed a pretty good rapport.
That's good. To let you know where Jon is here in Ann Arbor, you're kind of, I'm trying to refresh my memory, you're kind of kitty corner from, I think, just north and kitty corner from the law school. Am I accurate on that?
Yeah, directly across from the law school, yeah.
And outside of the home of President Mark Schlissel, who you've seen him come and go, right? I'm sure you have.
Yeah, absolutely. He walks out of his driveway to and from work. So yeah, I've seen him several times actually.
And you'd like to talk to, but do you ever get a wave? Do you ever get a, hey, how's it going? Or I mean, you'd settle for a cup of coffee, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Actually, there's just zero recognition.
Well, he was interviewed, and I know you know about this because he was interviewed by the Michigan Daily, and they asked him about your situation, the Anderson case, and negotiations for settlement ongoing, what would be fair. And then at one point here, Jon, he said, I believe Mr. Vaughn is still outside of my house. It's hard to tell because it's so darn cold outside, but we've been listening to survivors of the misconduct, et cetera, et cetera. What did that make you feel like? It's hard. I can't see him because it's cold. I mean, really?
Yeah, I think it's just indicative of the culture that's here. They're very dismissive on a human level. And it didn't shock me. It actually just kind of fueled me. I was like, okay, well, that's good because I'm not leaving at 100 days anyway because the job's not done. But I'll just make sure that I'm a little more vocal and we have a little more interest from the students, let's say, to show their disdain and make sure their voices are heard louder. And so that,
has that been lacking? The student support, do you get a lot of students? Because I remember a time when you had quite a few coming down to ask you questions about all this, who wanted to know the backstory, who weren't familiar. Has that continued, or is that like...
That has continued. It's been tremendous.
Okay.
Just last weekend, U.S. Representative Debbie Dingell came down, and two other, and the name skipped me right now, state representatives came and showed their support, and
Okay.
got to meet a few of us survivors. So to act as if you don't realize that we were here, to me, it was just ludicrous. It was an offhanded statement, which they all tend to be that come out of that university when it pertains to this, peaceful protest.
You were visiting with Jon Vaughn this morning. He's a former U of M football star from 30 years ago, who at the time was attended to by physician Dr. Anderson, and who has claims that he was harmed by him, is a survivor of what are now many, many others who have come forward, and has been speaking up, wants to meet with President Mark Schlissel, has been rebuffed, and is holding vigil outside of the president's home peacefully in Ann Arbor. Since this has occurred, John, you got a diagnosis that you have a medical issue of cancer, correct?
Yeah. Thyroid. Actually, I will be getting surgery on the 21st to remove my thyroid. On the left side of my neck, the nodules are about 8 centimeters, a little bit over 8 centimeters.
Wow.
And, I have a great oncologist, endocrinologist, and, his concern was, he said, in his entire career, he's never seen one this size that wasn't cancer. And many times when nodules are this big and you try to biopsy them, you have false negatives because of the size. There's no way to be able to get to every area. So you have a tumor here, but it's not malignant, and they're well feeling that you'll have a successful removal. Will you do that there at U of M? Will it be done there locally? I will. Yeah,
okay.
I will.
Which is an excellent medical, obviously.
Is
that the only thing that's going to upset? They're not going to want you going right from post-op back to the vigil. So will this be the only thing that stops you from carrying that through, at least short term?
Because we knew that the first 100 days would be challenging, but after the way we've reassessed now, we are having what I'm calling a relay, where other survivors that have been extremely supportive of the Anderson survivors will be manning the camp. I will probably be only down, I'm in the hospital just overnight. I go in on a Friday. I'll probably be back out here by Monday. The doctor said as long as I'm not trying to lift weights or run and things of that nature, nothing that I'm doing now should impede my recovery. So you're going to stay at it. You're going to stay after it. Absolutely.
There is another. We wish you well with that, by the way, John.
Thank you.
And confident that you'll have a good recovery with good docs there at U of M. There is more meetings scheduled, at least from a group standpoint, with Mark Schlissel in February. Do you plan on being a part of that? And is that something, in lieu of shaking hands outside his home, at least you have that to look forward to keep presenting your case moving forward?
Yes, I've actually thought about that, and that is something that several of us Anderson survivors are pointing to have our say, and considering seriously about attending. I've never spoken in front of the Board of Regents at a Regents meeting, but I'm definitely thinking that February will be the time for me to do that.
Jon Vaughn has been braving the cold outside the home of Mark Schlissel, who commented in the Michigan Daily he wasn't sure if he was still out there, but he is. And he confirms that with us. John, good luck to you. We'll talk to you after your surgery here, and we wish you well, okay? And tell people where they can find you and follow online, too, because you've got social media. Tell people where they can look for that.
It's JV Run 2. So RUNTOO is my Twitter handle, and yeah, you can go there and find out what's kind of going on up
That's
here.
all right. That stands for Jon Vaughn, Run 2, but just the initials JV. Ironic because John's not on the JV. He's a varsity guy that we're talking to here, okay? In all ways. Appreciate it, John. Thank you. Take care. Stay safe. We'll visit again, all right?
All right, thank you. Talk to you guys soon.
Thank you. All right. Well, there's our, especially in the wintertime. My goodness. And with the health issue going on, too. I mean, it's something. We'll be back in a moment.